Whether you're an employee, a student, or a member of any type of group or organization, really, you know how important it is for those environments to be healthy and accepting and actually, fun places to be. Now, if you're curious about what it takes to create those types of environments, well, stick around for part 2 of our discussion on psychological safety. This is About Townshippers. Glad you're with us. Hi there, and welcome back to About Townshippers. My name is Ed Humphrey. And in this series, we put the spotlight, we concentrate on the services, the programs, and the activities that are important to English speakers who live throughout the beautiful eastern townships of Quebec. And today, we share part 2 of a chat I recently had with consultant, teacher, and speaker Chris Gill. Yeah, we had a great gab about how we can all benefit from having more psychological safety in the workplace, in the classroom, and actually just about anywhere. But before we jump in, here's a quick look at how Chris described psychological safety in our last episode.
As human beings, we do this thing where we assess the judgment of other people. And we do a lot of work, a lot of mental work to imagine how we're perceived by others. And in a social environment, because we do this self-assessment, we need a certain level of safety, psychological safety, in order to take interpersonal risks. What I mean by that are all the things you have to do, all the things that are risky that could lead you to be judged or ostracized. And it could be simple things, asking questions in a meeting, admitting that you don't understand something, revealing information about yourself that you don't know how people are going to perceive. It's a term to describe the level of safety a person needs in a group to feel like they can be authentic, take interpersonal risks without the fear of being ostracized, which is a big fear, our major fear as people. We don't want to be kicked out of the group.
Well, there we go. The table is set for the rest of my chat with Chris. Enjoy. Do you have maybe say 3 tricks or 3 ways that we could create or develop psychological safety? So I guess they would be a bit of crossover, either whether it's in the education environment or the work environment.
Absolutely. So the first thing I always start with is a self-awareness exercise. So when we've listed off some things that people do when they're defensive. We blame, we shame other people, we point out the faults, we gossip, we make excuses, we lie. So the first thing I would suggest to anybody, to whole groups of people, is when you catch yourself slipping into those behaviors, they're normal. But these are signs of your own emotional state, and there's a lot of information there about how secure you are in the environment, so just to be careful about letting those things perpetuate. Just to be careful about, and come back to your integral place and come back to a place of honesty instead of letting those stories get too ramped up.
That's easy to, and that's. Just that's a huge lesson in itself, because we have all these internal stories that we create, and did she said this, maybe she meant that, and boy, I bet she doesn't think I'm doing good work, and why would I, and it just goes and goes.
Yeah, and in psychology, they'll often call them cognitive distortions. We really get into our own heads, and I like pointing this out to the people I talk to. I say, name a person who bothers you. You've got pages and chapters maybe.
Okay.
And you keep those stories, and you're so sure that this person is your problem or your enemy, and it's just to question those stories. A big part of being mindful and self-aware is to admit that your stories are stories, and they're not 100% true. And so just to be mindful about where you can sometimes go, just to be self-aware. So self-awareness is key. More and more research is coming out about self-awareness and emotional intelligence. So that's a big part of it. Just being aware of what you do, be aware of what you do and your patterns when you're defensive or insecure. And then there's keys to leadership that this woman how would you say it? She really I would say she refounded the concept of psychological safety. Her name's Amy Edmondson. She's a researcher at Harvard, and she's written extensively on it. But she's I'm going to tell you some qualities she's identified for leaders that are important. So there's a couple. Leaders that promote psychological safety are humble. They've got that humility, because that allows other people to step into the fold. They're not giving other people a sense of, we're all going to protect our reputation here, and we're all infallible, we don't make mistakes here. No, a good humble leader makes it permissible, and they're the example to say, look, we're going to make mistakes, we're not always sure, and so a good leader has to be humble, and be the example of humility. They also have to be curious, because just curious about people. And we do this naturally when we're safe. Like, it's when we put the ego aside, and someone we work with, this happens all the time with students, and they mention something personal about them. It's like, how interesting, right? And I let them know. And can you teach me? And I'll go to the shop and I'll visit them doing welding, and I'm not a welder. Or we'll look at a car together. I'm not a mechanic, and I'm just curious. And they go, I'm glad you're asking, because we can teach you something that allows them, again, to step to the fold and be valued as teachers themselves, right? So curiosity is key. My best teaching moments are those when they're teaching me, and they teenagers can be so mature and kind and humble themselves when we ask them. So the third thing I'm going to suggest is inviting participation about something purposeful, about something important to the whole group on a regular basis, because that's how people feel like they're involved in steering the ship. And nobody likes to feel like they're just going into work and their piece is, that they work in silo and their piece is. So if someone is working in accounting and you tell that person that here are the projects going on and your information is so crucial, can you let us know your thoughts on this and this? I know in Townshippers you work on different projects, but if you have regular meetings to say, overall, what are we trying to do? Can we get input from everybody? Because we know you're going to know, we know you're going to know. This is enrollment. This is, we don't do this enough with students. We don't do this enough with, this research was founded in hospitals, and nurses, the best nursing teams were the ones that were regularly asked, how do we take better care of our patients? You're the nurses, you're on the ground working with them. Please give us your ideas, but also your criticisms, your feedback, your challenges, and you need to invite people to participate regularly. That's how they feel like they're involved in something purposeful together. If you don't do that, by default, unfortunately, if you don't do that by default, the message is everybody just go to work, it's performance, and you're just protecting yourself, right?
And just dial it in to a certain extent.
Yeah, so I'll leave it on that one, because it's difficult, right? It's difficult for leaders and teachers to remember to invite participation, because we put a lot of weight on our shoulders and they think it's all on them, whereas people just can't wait to be asked. And then the solution is something that's involves everybody.
So briefly, tell us what services you offer, okay, and what organizations or what types of organizations could benefit from your knowledge and your services.
So I offer 3 courses. One is Leadership for Psychological Safety. Anyone who's a leader of people could benefit from that course, right? Ideally, it's with the leaders of one organization, so that among them, they can share strategies and start to work together to have a leadership roundtable to, how do you do belonging in this school? How do you do belonging in this business? And I also do a course in communication for psychological safety. So I'd invite any organization to I can come in and do something with everybody on communication for psychological safety, and norms for psychological safety is something more focused on the daily procedures, how you might be able to take what you already do and make it adaptation, so that this just becomes part of your weekly routine. For me, this subject helped me identify my blind spots. It continues to help me get better, because I'm reminded constantly that sense of belonging is the most important part of my job. So I'm constantly learning about how do you do that in a classroom? How do you do that in an office? How do you do that in a factory? Those are three courses that I want to offer.
Chris, now you're a teacher at Lennoxville Vocational Training Center, and we've just discovered that you're a researcher and a consultant, and you provide workshops and trainings really focusing on psychological safety in a variety of environments. So we'll put up your contact information, and you may be getting some more business. There we go.
I just want to have more discussions about this. That's my goal. I'm excited to share about this. And like I said, this is why I fell in love with my teaching role. And I know that it's going to be fun to talk to other leaders who feel the same way I do, that the best part of our jobs is to help other people come to the fold and feel like they can be leaders too, so I'm looking forward to talking more about it.
Great. Well, thanks for your time today, and take care.
You too. Thanks, Ed.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you'd like more information about psychological safety, feel free to reach out to teacher, consultant, and speaker Chris Gill. His contact information is all right down here in the video description. And a huge thanks to you for spending a bit of your time with us today. My name is Ed Humphrey. This has been About Townshippers, and we'll see you next time.